Welcome back to the Wise Mindset Guy podcast. I'm your host, Nat Palestino, and I thank you once again for tuning into my show. Today, I want to ask you a simple question, guys. Do you guys want a Ferrari? Who wants a Ferrari? Who wants a really nice, luxurious car? A nice, flashy car to sit in, ride in? Well, a lot of us would think that way. A lot of us would answer, yes, of course. I would love to have a nice, beautiful car. I would love to have brand name clothing, expensive brand name clothing, big giant house which takes about 6 hours to clean, mansion, swimming pool, all that stuff would be beautiful and grand. The question is, where do we learn this from? Where do we get the idea that this is how we should live our lives? And if the answer is, well, I just want these things because they look nice. I want to be, want to look nice in them. That's really the answer right there. It's basically you want to be seen. You want to have applause. You want to be envied. And that's really where it gets into a tricky and poisonous slope. We go in this direction where we feel that we need to have all these nice things so that everyone will look up to us. It's really not about that at all. It's really about how we look more in deep. Because all those things that we have out there, all these things that we buy, are coming from a concept of lack. A real concept of lack. What's lacking in our lives. And we usually do go in the direction of external things to get that complement of what we lack in our lives. How does this happen? Well, it comes down to how we were born, right? How we were raised. If we were raised in a situation where we didn't have much as children, we see other people having more things. We see it more today, in social media. But when it really comes down to when we were kids, when we were much younger, and we would look at things and we'd see the world, and we would condition ourselves to believe that the world runs on external desires, what we desire. And we condition ourselves to believe this for a very long period of time. And it's really difficult to break from. I always say, I've heard this many times I've heard it from a few people on like social media, that if you always want stuff, if you never have enough, you always want more, you will always be poor. The idea is to believe that I have everything I need. That's where it really comes down to. It comes down to, I really have everything I need. Now, once we believe that we have everything I need, which is not as easy as it looks, we can actually start to go internally into our deep self, into our soul, into our spirit. Looking internally instead of looking externally. There's always this person. I remember I heard from Tony Robbins. He always says, people usually go towards pleasure and away from pain. So the idea is, if I just surround myself with things that give me pleasure, like expensive clothes, nice cars, big house, then I won't be, sad anymore. I'll be happy. But happiness is more internal. It comes from an internal self, which we have to dig deep within ourselves. I remember seeing, if we don't know who Michael Jackson is, Michael Jackson, greatest singer, pop singer. He lived in a mansion in this place called Neverland, as he called it. And I remember seeing a documentary about him where he was in his house and he was being interviewed, and the person who was interviewing was being shown around his home, and he had these rooms that were filled to the unimaginability of what I call junk, but as he called collectibles. And all these collectibles of things, especially, like Looney Tunes characters and like statues and stuff, figures, like large statues. And it was so unusual because I would see he mostly lived his life alone. He had of course some servants, but his life was mostly alone, and so he had to surround himself with all this stuff to feel happy. When we really look at it, he didn't look that happy to me, and we all see that. In the end, he died, a terrible death and so forth, and died very young compared to most people. So, in a sense, like when I saw that for the first time, I said, well, I mean, that wouldn't be the kind of life I want to live. I wouldn't want to live in this big giant house, mostly by myself, surrounded by all these toys and figurines and collectibles, and not be happy. I would assume that I would be happy. I'm assuming he probably assumed that he was happy. Michael Jackson assumed he was happy by having all these things around him, but in essence, he most likely was not. And I wouldn't want to have the same situation. That's why I live my life in a sense where I said before that I have everything I need. I don't have this massive house. I don't drive this super luxurious car. I don't have all these toys and collectibles. I don't need those things. What I need is more things that have more internal value, more spiritual value. Now, when it comes to wealth itself, we obviously look for external value, and I'm not saying that abundance is not great. I mean, it's great to have money. It's great to have security in terms of abundance, so you can pay for things that you need in life. Nothing wrong with that. But when it gets out of control, of course, and you're buying a lot of things, and it's a different story. So abundance is one thing when it comes to wealth. Another thing, more important things when it comes to wealth, is our health. How are we taking care of ourselves? Are we taking care of ourselves? Are we eating right? Are we exercising? Are we doing the things that are necessary to stay healthy? Because if we spend most of our time neglecting our health, eventually it'll catch up to us. And then afterwards, once it catches up to us, we will spend our whole lives then trying to get it back. And we can try to get it back by having to go to the doctor more often, getting sick, having to take pills that we don't need, we don't want, and spending a lot of money doing so. So remember that health is an important part of our wealth. It's an important aspect of being wealthy in life. Another thing we can do is, of course, is family. Family is an important thing when it comes to, family and friends especially. Family and friends, having good connection with our family, having good connection with friends, so we have people to talk to. Nothing wrong with solitude. If you're more of a lone person, you're more inward. Like if you're not a person that socializes very well, that's not an issue. But if you are a person that it's important to have people around you so you can interact with other human beings. We are meant to be individuals that interact with others. It's part of our culture. It's part of how we've lived over the millions of years. So that's another thing. Family is extremely important. Another thing would be, I think, getting out more and really having an adventurous life. Traveling is one thing. I love to travel. It gives us a sense of not being put in one place. We can go out and explore the world, and there's a lot the world has to offer us, to show us different cultures, to show us different environments, and it gives us a sense of adventure. And we can do things that we elsewhere that we can't do on our home turf. So important thing is, getting out there and traveling, having an adventure in life. And also, it's a matter of what you want to have as an impact to society. An important thing is to give back to society. And this could be what you do like as you go to work. You might do things that are good for society based on what you do for work as where you're employed, but also in terms of how you want to give back to the world. You may want to give back in a different way. Giving. Some people enjoy giving to others in forms of charity, and that could be another thing. That can be important to you, and when you do that, you actually feel more gratitude towards yourself. You feel love towards others, and it actually come back to you in a form of karma. That's just something that we can always look at. So as we are digesting this information I'm giving you, remember, this is only just kind of a suggestion. You don't have to believe what I believe. You can do as you want. But I've noticed that when we have wealth in different forms, we actually have a better life to live. You can believe that all you want or not. It's up to you. It's only a suggestion. I'm not an expert, but I've noticed that when I delve away from external value, external things to make me happy, and go more inward, that's when the real love for yourself and the love for life begins. So that's all I have for you today. I want to thank you for listening in. If this episode does touch you in any sort of way, please share with a friend or family member in need. And if you like the episode, please hit subscribe. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. That's all for today. Bye for now.